All right, hello guys. Good afternoon to everyone, and welcome once again to another episode of Travel Conversations. This is actually the last episode for this season one because we're gonna have a month-long break after this, and we'll resume in August. We'd like to welcome all of you. Thank you for joining us. I see some friends who already joined this live session. AJ Peregrino, thank you for joining. Cesar Para, thank you for joining. Eileen Joyce, Jetro Abria. Today we have a very special guest all the way from New Zealand. So feel free to ask questions if you have any or interact in the comment section below. My friend Ephraim is watching. Thank you for joining us, Epe. Today we're gonna have our friend Dodge ask the guests for this last episode of Travel Conversation. So if you're free at this time, invite your friends to join us, share the link on your timeline, or send it as a direct message to their Facebook Messenger so they can also benefit from this conversation. And if you're not doing anything, just relaxing, you can just tune in, enjoy, listen to us, drink a cup of coffee or your favorite beverage while listening to this conversation. Once again, feel free to interact in the comment section. Feel free to ask questions. We're going to start at 4 o'clock, so we're still waiting for more people to join. And now I'm going to invite our guests all the way from New Zealand. Chi, thank you for joining. Welcome. Oren Amuyar is watching. Hello, hello, Dodge.
Hello.
We're live. Woohoo! Some of our friends are already watching. So we're still waiting for more people to join before we start. While waiting, we can greet them.
Ipe. Musta
Epe
bro?
is watching. Epe the Great.
Musta do?
Actually, this started during the quarantine period where, a lot of us are just stuck in our homes, and I decided to just have a conversation regarding my passion. And this would be the last episode for this first season because we're going to have a break, month-long break, and resume in August. And Dodge here, our guest is the guest for this last episode, all the way from New Zealand. Woohoo!
Nuts.
The land of the Kiwis and hobbits.
Habits.
So how are you doing there, Dodge?
Okay lang bro. Okay lang. It's been really good. Um, during the COVID time, we went into lockdown.
Mm-hmm.
That was pretty intense here in New Zealand, but right now we're easing out. I mean, it's really good right now. We can travel and move around. Um, it's good.
Yeah, I heard that the cases there are not a lot compared to other countries. Apparently, your prime minister is doing a great job.
Well, yeah, I think the government's doing, at least we're doing something. I know not a lot of people are happy about what's going on at the moment with regards to
Oh, really?
some flaws with how things are have been executed on the government's implementation and the COVID prevention and um, strategies and stuff. But at least we're doing something. Most of the cases that we have at the moment are on the borders. That means at the managed isolation hotels, or basically from people who've just arrived from overseas. So for me, that's okay as long as we don't have any confirmed community transmission. I think that's good. So I mean, we're still safe out to the community. So these people, they are positive. So I think we've got over 20, close to 30 at the moment. But all of these people are in managed isolations. These are people who just arrived from overseas. So obviously there will be cases.
Yeah, and at least it's less compared to other countries. And the thing with New Zealand is you're surrounded with nature and it's sparsely populated. So I think that's one of the advantage of the country.
Yeah, it's easy to close borders because we're not kind of attached to any other landmass. So it's easy to close borders.
You're not clingy. Oren just said hello all.
Oren!
Oren Amuyar.
Yar.
Where are you right now, Oren? I think you're still in Thailand, right?
We know Thailand.
Sawadee Kaap. Our friends. The thing is, at this time, I think a lot of countries right now are not in quarantine already. So at this time, some people are already working. 4 o'clock in the Philippines and in Thailand, like that, in Southeast Asia. But it's okay. Because if you do it later, then it's going to be like 12 o'clock there and you're going to be so tired.
Yeah, that's okay. So how's Philippines, bro?
Uh, it's okay. I'm stuck here.
Oh,
I
you're
plan.
gonna stay for a while?
Yeah, it's been a while. I've been here since I think since December, and I plan to be back in Beijing supposedly in January. But because of this, so I can't go back there. But it's fine because at least we're safe. That's the most important thing
Yeah.
in this pandemic. It's a crisis, so everyone is experiencing it.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah, that's fine. As long as you stay safe, I think that's the best option for now.
yeah, as long as we're alive.
Hello.
Oh, Ellison Gomez, is that your friend?
Oh yeah, I know he's from South America. He used to be here in Auckland, but he's left. Hey, how are you?
And Leonora Milan, hello to you. I think you're in London, right? Leonora Milan. Thank you for joining us. Our last episode of Travel Conversations with Dodge Lecciones, all the way from the land of the hobbits. So we have a few more minutes to go before we start. And by the way, guys, Dodge is also a photographer. So if you have questions regarding photography, feel free to ask some techniques, some tips.
I'm not a pro, but but to everyone who's been traveling solo, I could probably give a little bit of tip. Um, I'm not the best at it. Um, but yeah, I'll try. I'll try to share what I know. I think just sharing what I know will probably be best.
And you gotta check his Instagram. What was your Instagram handle again?
Yeah.
Handle.
My Instagram handle is I am Dodge Lick.
Yeah, I think I posted it on the announcement poster as well.
Yeah,
So you
yeah.
can just look at it there and check his Instagram is so beautiful. A lot of colorful pictures, glacier, white snow. Of course, snow is white and white snow. Is there a thing like black snow?
Oh, we had remember when the bushfires went off in Australia?
Mm-hmm.
So when that bushfire went really bad, some of this smoke flew all the way across the Tasman Sea, and it kind of made it an orangey tinge on the snow on top of the mountains. So
Wow.
it was like that for a few weeks, I guess. But it's okay now. It's okay now because I was there just a couple of weeks back. Are you in VC, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm here in my parents' house
How's MVC?
in the mountains. Oh, it's
What?
nice. It's kind of boring sometimes, but surrounded by nature, fresh air. You gotta think something like that, or
Yeah.
else you're gonna be bored here because it's in the mountains.
And it's really good that you're doing this series because I sometimes I watch the travel conversations. Sometimes a part of it because most of the time I'm working because at
Yeah.
this I'm off tonight,
Mm.
but I'm back to work tomorrow. So every night I'm working. So I start at 7 p.m. and then so usually around this time I'm working. So when I watch your travel conversations, it's usually just a part of it, and then I try to watch it again at home after work and stuff like.
Mm-hmm.
It's very interesting because a lot of the people you've who's been a part of the of this series have actually traveled so much, and they've actually shared some really interesting stuff. Things a lot of them kind of interest me to do other stuff as well. So and do something more about traveling, and yeah, so that was good. It's good that you're doing this series, really.
Yeah, I even interviewed one Tita Odette, who is the most traveled Filipino. It's crazy.
Yeah.
She's been to like 190. I think it's like 190 UN countries.
Wow. Wow. That's insane.
And Ellison had a comment here. He said, "I'm Brazilian." Oh,
Oh yeah. Yes, he is.
obrigado. That's the only Brazilian Portuguese word I know. Where
I
are you
think
in Brazil?
I think he speaks Portuguese.
Are you from Rio? My friend Joji is watching as well. Jorens Feliciano.
Hello. I can't see everyone that's come onto to the feed.
I think you can only see your friends, I guess, if you're
Only
not
yeah.
the owner of
People
the live stream.
it's okay.
Oh, it's 4, so we can start.
Woohoo!
Woohoo! All right, first of all, good afternoon, good evening there in New Zealand, afternoon here in the Philippines, and thank you for your time. Thank you for joining us here on Travel Conversations Dodge.
Yes, I'm really, really excited to be a part of the show. I mean, I don't know how I made the cut to be part of this series, but yeah, I'm here.
Yeah, when I was still in Beijing, whenever I check my Facebook, uh, I always see your feed, your posts on Facebook or Instagram. They always go to these wonderful destinations, especially in the midst of nature, mountains, waterfalls, and regularly you just go traveling, mostly in New Zealand, Australia, but once in a while you go abroad and you go to other countries as well, such as the U.S., Hong Kong, and even went to China. So I can see that it's really a passion of yours nowadays, traveling, not just hiking or climbing mountains, but traveling in general. It has become your passion. And we're classmates in college. By the way, guys, Dodge and I are classmates in college, in Mountain View College. We were nursing students. And back then, I haven't really noticed you being so passionate with travel, but nowadays, I can see that this passion just went on to a different level. So, can you tell us when did this passion start, or how did this start, this passion for traveling?
Um, I think traveling in general, I really like to travel. Like before, I mean, I travel with choir and then even with family and visiting families just around Philippines. Um, but I think it's a different kind of sense. I travel for just to see a place and just to just to kind of have a little bit of an experience to see different places in the country, in the Philippines. Um, but when I moved to New Zealand, I think it went into a whole new different level because New Zealand's such a beautiful place. We have so much nature here has so much to offer, and with very small islands, you get to see so much. There's not a lot of driving that you need to do to actually get to see a beautiful coast, or to get to a mountain, or just anywhere pretty much. So I went from doing trips, like a generic kind of getting away kind of thing, into traveling, into trying to get trying to get understanding a little bit more of different places. And then I went into adventuring, which is quite a quite a different thing, because adventuring means a little bit of excitement. You have that conscious intention of doing something new. Um, so on my Instagram page, I always say I said there that I put a phrase that says "small adventures matters," because small adventures always matter. Because even if you go to to just a close location, as long as you try to connect yourself in there and try to do something something new, that's an adventure. And that's something that I keep on looking. I just can't get over the feeling of trying to do something new again, to experience something new. And New Zealand has absolutely so much to offer. So I think I've traveled around New Zealand more first before I decided to experience other places abroad. And also one reason for that is I was waiting for my New Zealand citizenship passport, so I can, I have less issues with trying to go to other countries in terms of visa and, restrictions and stuff like that.
That's good, especially as you have mentioned that even when you were in the Philippines before coming to New Zealand, you already had this desire of going places. I remember when we were still studying, you even went to Malaysia, joining your choir, Sons and Daughters. You went there for a concert tour, and that's really cool. And I guess for most of us, especially most of us Filipinos, we may have this desire, but we don't have the opportunity back then. Like I experienced that as well, but then once we have our own job, for example, then that's where the opportunity comes, and we just grab the opportunity because we have our own resources already. And I think that's what happened to you as well when you got to New Zealand. You had this desire already, even before, even when you were younger, but plus you had the opportunity in terms
Wasn't
of
what
resources.
Yeah, wasn't just a priority by then, because like how traveling can cost a lot. It can cost ridiculously a lot. But then throughout the years, you tend to know how to cut costs. And then if you have that desire to actually travel, you find ways. And then, like, now that I've been traveling for quite a few years already, I've kind of figured out some ways that what works for me, that I could afford to travel and experience what I wanted to experience.
That's the thing. That's what I notice about you as well is you really prioritize traveling.
Mm.
You do it regularly, and and I think you spend a lot of energy and resources on this. So that's why I said you really prioritize it. And
Yeah.
we're batchmates in college, and nowadays if you look at Facebook, most of our batchmates are already settling down, having their own family, but you, even me, are still having these adventures. So it's like kind of like top of the priority. So what made you really prioritize traveling? What have you seen in traveling that made you say, okay, I'm gonna put a lot of energy and resources on this because there's something that I saw in traveling that will maybe benefit you or something? Can you explain that a bit?
Yeah. So um, the na- just to start off, I'm a nurse. I work in A&E, so generally it's a very toxic kind of environment. And if you come to think of it, we work most of our lives. Like even if we come to think of it in a year, I work full time and also do a little bit of part time job. So most of my time I dedicate to nursing, to work pretty much. And if I am not going to actually sit aside or plan time to get away, I'll be like exhausted at the end of the day. Like even during lockdown period, I haven't traveled or even just I haven't traveled for what almost 8 weeks. Um, I don't it doesn't my travel doesn't have to be big travels. I just need to something to get away, to disconnect from the world that I'm actually living, like the stress of the city and traffic and work altogether. Um, all I need is like a trip, like a 2-3 hour drive away from the city, and to the coast or to the mountain. A little bit of hike doesn't have to be like doesn't have to be like a massive hike up mountains or whatever. Even just bushwalks or just going to the lake and just having to chill. So that's the kind of disconnection that I want away from the stress of the world. So um traveling has encouraged me to feel great, in what how can I say that, like it it benefits mental health a lot. It keeps me, because what I've noticed is if I get away and come back to work, I feel more productive. I feel a little bit less grumpy at work, kind of thing. Because if you just work and work and work, you get exhausted. You can only take
Right.
as much. And then in the kind of work that we do as nurses, we deal with a lot of people that are in distress. So
That's true.
it's a very stressful environment, and I work in emergency, and we have a lot of stuff, and you have to deal with all the stressors of, like, see, we really need to disconnect, and to give time to ourselves to relax and wind. And I find that the best way to do that is travel and connect yourself with nature, kind of thing.
I
And
think
that's something that's a feeling that I've always wanted to have, because I think it's healthy. It's the time where my mental health is okay. I'm physically energized, and my spirit is so alive. So that's the kind of combination that makes me feel alive, pretty much.
I think it makes really sense because there was a research that has been done that says that employees or workers who are happy are more productive, are less sick. So it makes sense that like bosses sometimes bosses they don't want their employees to have leave or to take long leaves, for example, because they think it's counterproductive to
Yeah,
productivity. But then according to research, once people have more vacation, they become happier, and at the same time when they're happier they become more productive and
yeah,
they become less sick and their social interaction with coworkers improve. So it makes sense, like when you said that traveling is
yeah,
your way to kind of like de-stress and recharge your batteries. And if you think about it, you spend money, right? But it's kind of like your therapy.
yeah,
And for some people, if they don't do that, then they break down mentally. Then you have to pay for a therapist, for
yeah.
psychiatrist, for medicines, which is it's gonna be even more expensive. So you have to invest in it, and yeah, some people may say, oh, that's it's like especially in our culture, I think it's a waste of time and money while you're traveling too much. Sometimes they will say it that way, but if you think about it, that's what I noticed. Like you travel, you become happier, you become more productive, and you
Productive.
become less sick at work. So
Yeah,
it makes really sense. And I even remember in 2017 during our reunion tour, we went to Cebu.
Yeah, that was amazing.
That was amazing. And I remember prior to that, you were working really hard. You were posting on Facebook sometimes that you were working long hours and you can't wait to have this vacation in Cebu, Philippines. And finally, when we got it, when we met there with our Clement classmates, our friends, that was so happy. And what you did was you didn't just go to Cebu. You even went to a lot of places that time. You spent a lot of money, but for you, it's like, I don't care about spending a lot of money as long as I'm happy. I remember you even went to Palawan that time, Cebu, Palawan, and you went diving and all that stuff. So I remember that time.
Yeah, I wanted to experience El Nido, Palawan, um, because it's the thing is like I met a lot of travelers here in New Zealand as well, and every time they ask me like where are you from, I said oh I'm from the Philippines, and they ask me like destinations in the Philippines, and I'm like oh I don't know much about the Philippines because I haven't honestly traveled much around the country. I probably like did some drives like central Philippines like Cebu, crossing to different islands and driving around Mindanao, but that's a trip. It's not like traveling, like, you stop in one place and try to experience and understand what the place is all about. And it's a different thing. I had that, but I never really experienced places in the Philippines. So I said, since El Nido or, Palawan is one of the best places, a lot of international tourists are actually, they know about this place so much. So I said, I should experience this because I'm from the Philippines. I should experience my country because by now it looks like I've experienced New Zealand more than Philippines. So I was meant to go to the Philippines in April this year, but because of COVID, everything is canceled. So I was wanting to experience Bohol as well last year because I've never I've never seen a tarsier. I've never seen the chocolate hills, but I always tell people from here who are wanting to visit the Philippines that I said, "Oh, these are beautiful destinations," but I've never been there myself. So I think what I'm just trying to do is I want to experience a lot of things. I want to experience the Philippines. I want to experience the place around me. I think it's when we feel more connected and more alive that way.
Right. And I can relate to that because I've just been to Boracay in 2018. Can you imagine
No,
that? It's just like 2 years ago. And a lot of my friends, or even foreign friends and even Filipino friends, talk about Boracay. And I've been to a lot of countries. And then they ask me, have you been to Boracay? Like the most famous destination in the Philippines. And then the answer was always, I haven't been there. So it's quite a shame. And I'm so curious about the whites and all that stuff. So finally, when I got there in 2018, it was really a big fulfillment to me just being able to cross it out, so to say, just because it's the most famous destination. So when you said that you haven't been to Palawan and your foreign friends are keep on keep on mentioning Palawan to you, and I know the feeling, oh, I haven't been there and
especially
this is a famous destination.
yeah, I know. Especially that they know that we travel a lot.
Right.
Yeah, we travel like our social media shows a lot of traveling and stuff like that. And then they ask us from like destinations from where we come from. It's a bit ironic that we haven't really been to those famous destinations. So yeah, that's why I really wanted to 2017, that's when I decided to experience El Nido, Palawan.
Yeah, and you went to a lot of places. So when we had this Clement reunion tour in Cebu, that was really fun. We haven't seen our classmates for that was in 2017. So
Yeah,
almost
5 6 years maybe.
almost 8 years because we even went to Thailand. So 5 years for those who went to Thailand prior to that. So during that experience, we went to southern Cebu. What was your most memorable experience during that Clement reunion tour?
Oh, the whale shot. The whale shot didn't run. These are like adventures for me. These are the first, like, experiences I've done for the very first time, and experiences that I've always been wanting to have, like experiences that I really wanted to do. So the whale shark really blew me away, um, and the sardine run,
Oh,
because
sorry.
apparently was it right? There's like two places in the world that you can actually do that.
Which one? The Sardine
Right?
Run?
Yeah, is it just two
The
places
most
or?
famous one is in South Africa, and I
But
think the other one is
yeah, but
already
you
in.
need to do
Oh,
like scuba suit and stuff like that, eh?
yeah, it's so difficult to do it there. So I think so. It's the most common destinations are I think in South Africa, as far as I know, and in Molboal in Cebu.
Yeah.
Probably you're
And
right.
it's very easy. It's like literally 15 steps. Oh, well, 15 meters off the shore, and then we can see them. It was
And
really beautiful.
it's
It was,
free. And
yeah,
it's
and it's,
free. It's
yeah,
crazy. It's free.
yeah,
And I didn't expect it to be that many. You see pictures of it, okay, it's fine. But when you're actually there,
yeah.
it's different, It's so
Yeah,
different in
yeah,
photos.
I think that's another thing as well. It's different when we just kind of see things on photos or read about it on blogs. Um, they do, we can get a whole lot of idea and imagination in how things are described, even in watching videos and stuff like that. But it's a whole new different level if you're actually in there. You experience the whole thing, like all your senses are triggered. So you see them and then you feel the waters around you and then you move around it. It's just a whole new level of experience.
Yeah, what blew me that time is they are so packed. I've seen a lot of fish, for example, in El Nido, but those sardines, they are so packed. They almost look like a mat, like kind of like a
Yeah,
blanket. That's crazy.
it's a good eye. It looks like they go for miles because it's really long. It was so good. I wish I had like a better photo at that time because my GoPro was really crappy at that stage.
No, but your photos are good. I remember you had like the latest GoPro at that time. Mine was even older.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah, it's the latest GoPro. Yeah.
Yeah. But anyway, it was, yeah. I wish we had like better footage at that time. I still wish to do it again, but I'd rather spend time experiencing something else again.
Yeah, I remember because you've mentioned that a lot of things look different or the experience is different if you experience it in person compared to just looking at them on photos. I remember when we went to Xi'an, China. We,
Right.
we
Yes, I was gonna say that.
we went to
Yes.
see the Terracotta Warriors. They're
Yeah.
one of the most famous archaeological sites in the world. And when we got there, that was my second time. So of course, second time it's okay, it's fine. It's not as it's not as amazing as the first time. But when you were there, it was your first time, and I saw your reaction, you and Che and the rest. What's the name of the other one, Madame? uh, she's not on Facebook. That's why I
Yeah.
forgot her. Mendez. Her surname is Mendez. Do you remember her name? Oh man, she's gonna kill us later. Win. Her name is Win.
Wait a minute. Yeah, yeah, but
Win Mendez and Che and you. I saw. I remember your reaction. You were just blown by the sight of those terracotta warriors. So can you tell us your experience
intense,
during the time?
very intense. Because I remember reading something about it like a long time ago. Like it was like the best. I mean, how was that described? Like the most kind of amazing archaeological discovery in the 21st century kind of thing.
Yeah, yeah.
So it went through a lot of publications. So I have actually read about it. So I have a little bit of understanding of what's been going on in there. Um, and then when I went there, it's just a very different feeling when you actually see them in person, because it's like walking into history. We know that it's been there for years and years, like it says 2,000 years, and it was from a great empire, from a great emperor is wanting to take the whole ton of soldiers with him to the grave. So it's very interesting to see them in person. I think being actually there is what makes it more. Well, I can't even find the word. Um, I was just blown away just being there. It's the same thing when we went to when we had that experience out in the Great Wall of China. The Great Wall of China has been there forever. I mean, it's been popular for years and years. But then you will never really, I think you will never really understand why it's called Great Wall until you actually set foot on that wall.
Yeah.
It's an and actually, because you stand on that wall and then you see how far it goes,
Right.
and the territory that it covers. I think that's how you actually feel that it's a great wall, because I don't think it's enough. And like after I've been there, I realized that I don't. It's not enough to just hear the word "it's great" until you actually get to be in that place and experience it yourself. Because you don't just know that it's great; you actually feel how great it is.
The first time I experienced that was when I went to Taj Mahal in India. Even before going there, I've read a lot of articles that says Taj Mahal is the most beautiful building in the world. And even when I went to Angkor Wat, there was a writer who said that Angkor Wat is one of the most amazing buildings, only rivaled by Taj Mahal and Machu Picchu. So that's how
Yeah,
high Taj Mahal is on the description of a lot of writers. But when I look at pictures, you just see like, okay, it's made of marble. It's kind of like, dome shape. It's okay, but I don't really understand why they say it's the most beautiful building just by looking at pictures. But when I got there in person, I was just starstruck, man. It's like the thing with Taj Mahal is it's beautiful, all right, but the sheer size and scale of it, you can't really understand it unless you really get there in person. No
right.
photograph, no photographer can capture its beauty. That's
Yeah.
what I noticed in traveling. And the second one was when I went to Zhangjiajie, the Hallelujah Mountains,
Hallelujah Mountains. Yes,
the
yes.
one from the movie Avatar.
Okay. Yeah,
If you go there and you're actually right there, you're just gonna be overwhelmed by the beauty. It's just no camera can capture it. So those are examples of destinations that is hard to capture
yeah,
by words or even photos. So one of the major reasons to travel and to explore.
yeah. It's actually to be there and experience the place. I know, because even with New Zealand, I know there's a lot of really good photographers around here. And what I'm getting from a lot of, especially the ones that I know, like personally, not personally, but even people that I just talk to on social media, they said they can never capture how beautiful it is. The photo can turn out as, the output can turn out to be really beautiful. It's, like the landscapes are very, very stunning. But then if you ask whoever took the photo, they'll be like, it's actually not enough. We can't quite get how beautiful it is. Because you can't really put that beauty in a 2D kind of dimension, in a picture itself.
That's crazy because for me, just by looking at photos of New Zealand, I can rate it 10 out of 10 already. I mean, just by looking at photos. So how much more when you said that the
It's,
photographers who took those photos even said it's even nothing compared to our experience when we were actually in the place. That's crazy.
yeah, it's really different. Um, when I went to the glacier a couple of weeks ago, it's a new adventure for me because I've been meaning to do that hike, that glacier hike. I mean, I've always wanted to do that, but it was just a couple of weeks ago that I managed to do it, and that was after I made a very conscious decision to actually do it. Because I think, if you we always have, before I carry on with that, I'm just gonna say that, a lot of us have this idea that we can always do something later on, kind of thing.
Oh
But it
man,
keep on pushing that one, like,
that's really true, man.
yeah, like life always has reminded us that it's not always true. Remember what happened to COVID?
That's that's one of the
Like,
biggest lessons I've learned in traveling.
yeah, I mean, many times we think that there can always be tomorrow, there can always be another time to do that. That place is not going to go anywhere. This is what most people say.
Oh
Oh, that
man,
place is not going to go away. It will always be there. But then if you're not going to make a conscious decision to actually go there, you'll never turn up to that place. It's not going to happen like, like tomorrow you'll be there. You actually have to plan and actually make that decision to be there. So anyway, after years of procrastinating, and I finally decided to do the glacier hike. I did it a couple of weeks ago, and it just blows me away. The idea of walking on top of a massive ice, just I just can't fathom that kind of thought. And you stand in there and you look around, and it's like ice for kilometers on both ends of you, and you'd be like, wow, how actually God created this world is just so amazing.
Right, I saw your photos when you posted that, and you actually went there when we were still in quarantine. So you can imagine the jealousy of people. It's like, oh, Dodge is already exploring the glaciers in New Zealand while we're still stuck in our homes. I remember that time. By the way, before we proceed, Sheila Uy, our friend, had a comment a while ago about the Terracotta Warriors. She said, didn't New Zealand try to loan some of the Terracotta Army last year? I don't
Oh,
know
I
about
I
this.
heard a little bit about that. Like, 'cause some of them, it's actually a traveling kind of museum thing. So
Oh, okay.
we've got a big museum here in New Zealand. I think the biggest one I think is Te Papa, which is down in Wellington. But we have one out here in Auckland, and we have some displays that travels around the world. I think Terracotta Warrior is one of it as
Are
well.
those real though? I mean, are the Warriors they're real? Maybe they're replica already.
I mean, I'm not sure. I don't think they actually did that here. I
I don't think they're the real deal, man.
haven't heard about it. Yeah. I mean, I heard about the Terracotta Warriors they're trying to get it into here, but I'm not sure if they've actually did it.
Yeah,
So I'm not
and
sure. Sorry about that.
yeah,
Sheila's here.
yeah, Sheila.
Sheila's very close to me. She's probably about 2.5 hours away, drive north of Auckland. Is that right? Sheila, where are you? Somewhere.
And and
Well,
Ellison had a comment as well. It happens. We never know how we will connect or feel places is about energy. Or feel the places is about energy. No matter I try to explain the magical vibe of Mirror Lake, I cannot describe it. I
uh,
think
I think that's from the Lake Matheson that we went to.
yeah.
Um,
And Sheila said, "True, the Mirror Lake is just surreal. Surreal. We look at the pictures we took, but it was so pale in comparison to the real beauty that it is." So this is what we're talking about a while ago. Like just be looking at pictures. I think it's already 10 out of 10. But if you ask the people who took those pictures, they will just
yeah,
say, "No, it's pale in comparison.
because
No, no editing, no, no camera lens can capture the beauty."
nah, it's really, I don't know. It's so hard, eh? Because I'm trying to look where I put up the photo for that, because I actually have a photo of the Mirror Lake.
Yeah. So, guys, while he's looking for the picture, feel free to interact in the comment section, or if you have any questions, feel free to ask. Don't be shy. Dodge will answer your questions regarding traveling, New Zealand, hobbits, what else? Kiwi,
I just can't find
kangaroo.
um kangaroo. Oh yeah, I'm pretty sure I have it here somewhere. But anyway, I think it's better to just open my.
I just opened the whole keynote or PowerPoint, so you can just scan it. Okay, guys, for those who tuned in, thank you for watching. This is the last episode of Travel Conversations with Dodge Lecciones, an adventure based in New Zealand.
Oh, so Sheila's in Kitty Kitty. Oh, there's a really pretty waterfall out there. Um, I don't know if I could share this. Let me try.
Or guys, if you have if you have experienced destinations that are so pale in comparison to photos, you may share it in the comment section below. We're talking about destinations that cameras can capture the actual beauty or the feeling, the experience. So feel free to share if you have similar experiences as well in the comment section.
Oh,
What is that?
this
Is
is
that
just
it?
coming from my Instagram account because I just can't find the raw file for it. But
That's fine.
anyway, so this
Uh,
is Lake Matheson. It's really popular in New Zealand because because um because of it's just insane. Like how clear. I mean, the water is like it's absolutely like a mirror. And the thing is, it actually reflects the two highest peaks in New Zealand.
mm,
So if you can see on that photo, that's Mount Cook on the left hand side. Those are snow capped mountains. So Mount Cook on the left hand side, and that's that area there. I think I can move my mouse. So that one over there is Mount Tasman. So they're just standing next to each other. I don't know exactly how high they are, but they're the highest peaks in New Zealand. Mount Cook first, and then Tasman second.
I can
And
see though why they call it Mirror Lake because if you look at the water, man, it's so still.
it's so
It's
still. And
just
then
crazy.
yeah, and you sometimes need to get a good timing to see it that way, because it's so easy with that kind of stillness in the water. It's so easy to disturb it. Like with small movements, you can easily disturb the water. So I went in there like very early in the morning. There's not a lot of people around. There are a few ducks that are swimming in the water. It was so
Mm.
annoying. But I can't really shoo them away. It's their
Mm.
place. They own the place. So I went into a different kind of jetty, which is like far from where the ducks are swimming. And you can actually this part of the lake that's really still. So when I took this photo, it was actually a long exposure, but it's not that long. It's a 1 second exposure. So
Ah.
with 1 second exposure, you can still see that it's really still. So generally, the conditions are just right already to start
Mm.
off, to get
Right.
this kind of condition. So the water, I think there's some humus. I actually put it here on the description. The water is it's dark brown. It's from an organic matter it's a humus that's come from the forest around it. So yeah.
Makes me want to throw a stone. You know what we usually do when we're at lakes, you have to throw a stone and make kind of like appear that you threw two stones. You know the kind of thing that we play when we were young.
Yeah.
Oh
It's
man,
a,
that's so
it's a
beautiful.
really good place. It's a really good place. Um, Sheila, yes, Rainbow Falls. I know that place. It's one of my favorite places actually. Um,
It's also one of those destinations that is hard to capture using a camera. We were talking about that, and she commented Rainbow Falls.
yeah, no, I asked her about. There's a very beautiful waterfalls in her place because she's 4 hours away from me now. She's moved further up. Um, I'm pretty sure I have. Yeah, so this one here.
Is that the Rainbow Falls?
Yeah.
Why did they call it Rainbow Falls though?
So it's called Rainbow Falls because apparently so from where the water is falling, just in front of it, it creates a mist, like a
Mm.
huge mist, and then when the sun is just in the right angle, it creates like a rainbow color. Because
Okay.
yeah, this strong drop of the water, it creates a huge mist around the area just in front of that, and then yeah, it creates a rainbow in front of it. But where I'm standing in this photo is actually behind the waterfall. So just behind the waterfall, there's a cave
Yeah.
behind it. So it's a bit of an adventure going into that place because you have to cross the river, go on the other side, and try to trek through boulders. And it's not a proper trek, but only for people who would really want to go into that place. It's a very different feeling being inside that cave, and you've got a curtain of water falling in front of it.
When I look at your feed on Facebook, your travel photos, usually, like what I've mentioned, you go to destinations in the midst of nature, waterfalls, mountains, lakes. And I remember you told me when you went to Hong Kong. Hong Kong is known as a destination for its skyscrapers. It's shopping. It's a big city. You go there to relax in restaurants, for example. But you went to Hong Kong, and you actually climb a mountain. So,
Yeah, yeah. Um, it was part of my plan to actually climb. I've read something about the suicide cliff. No, I didn't go there to commit suicide, so I've warned everyone about it already. So it's just a place where you can actually see like a 360 kind of view of Hong Kong. And there's always something about going into an elevated place and seeing the world around you. it's kind of a different feeling. So that's what I did when I went to Hong Kong. And because I went when I went to Hong Kong, that was my um major plan. Like that pretty much that's the only thing that I wanted to tick off when I went to Hong Kong because I went to Hong Kong on my days off. So
Oh,
I was that crazy at that time to actually live New Zealand um on my days off and go somewhere else.
yeah, I remember when you went to China in 2019. That was kind of like a tight schedule as well. You were traveling for long hours. You
Yeah.
know, when you went to Beijing, I remember when I picked you up, you told me you were already traveling for many hours.
Yeah, because I just finished a contract because I was working in Australia before that. So I was already traveling from the outback. So I had to travel like maybe 2 hours bus drive to where the train station that I need to catch up with, and then that's an 8 hour train to Sydney. And
Mm-hmm.
from Sydney, I had to fly about I think it's 3 or 4 hours to Auckland. And from Auckland, I spent like maybe it wasn't even overnight. I rested for a few hours and then I repacked my bag and then went to the airport again to catch up with it to catch that flight going to Hong Kong initially and then Hong Kong to
To Shanghai, I guess. Oh,
no
the
no
Beijing.
straight to Beijing.
Yeah.
On the way back, it was Beijing to Shanghai and then Auckland.
In contrast to what we were talking about a while ago about destinations that are so hard to capture using a camera or photos don't give it justice, apparently there are also destinations that are more colorful, more beautiful in pictures, but if you get there in person, it pales in comparison. It's like the opposite.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
um,
An example of that for me is my friends told me this. I haven't been there, but Rainbow Mountain in Peru.
yeah,
If you've read about if you've seen this on the internet, it's very famous on the internet. Rainbow Mountain in Peru. So if you look at the internet, it's so colorful. It's so beautiful. But a lot of my friends have been there, and they said it's nothing like what was posted on the internet because on the internet they just edit it like just
yeah,
increase the saturation.
yeah,
So that's like the opposite of what we were talking about a while ago.
yeah. I mean, that's the thing as well. When I post photos on my feed, I try to minimize corrections. I just try to bring back how I actually remember the place. Um, so I don't do much of editing, especially on landscape, because I think I would want to respect how the place actually looks like. Um, if if I'm out there taking photos under really bad weather, then the photo is going to come out as with a bad weather,
Yeah.
kind of. So if I post photos, the ones that I'm posting, they're very minimal corrections because what I'm trying to bring back is sometimes you lose some of the colors because of the glare of the sun when it's too bright and stuff like that outside. You lose some of the colors. So you pretty much what I do is I have a filter in my camera like a shades, so you block some of those lights coming from the sun, and you just get what the color is actually, and then I just try to remember and just try to edit in a way that I could actually remember how it is when I was out there.
Yeah, you gotta respect reality and presenting to your viewers. I think as a respect not just to the place but to your viewers as well.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen some other tourists that come to New Zealand and then they post photos and then they kind of distort, like how they kind of move mountains to fit the frame. And I was like, it doesn't look right now.
No, that's not for me.
Yeah,
How-
kind of weird. Yeah, so I've seen quite a few of those, and like Mount Cook is a very popular mountain here, but you can actually see some photos that Mount Cook becomes so skinny because they try to fit as much of the
yeah.
Southern Alps into one frame, and I was like, oh, Mount Cook went into keto diet. It doesn't really look right because everyone, especially in New Zealand, knows how it actually looks, and then you post something like that, it's
Yeah.
really not good.
New Zealand is such a beautiful country. I haven't been there, but I've seen pictures and video clips, of course. and especially you, once you have free time, you really maximize your time to explore New Zealand. And part of your activities there is you go on road trips using a camper van.
Yeah.
So I think that's on my bucket list. Really, I haven't experienced a camp. I experienced a camper van before, but we didn't travel. That was in Europe. We just stayed in the camper van. But I haven't experienced really having a road trip using a camper van. Can you kind of like relate to us the experience of having a camper van in a road trip in one of the most beautiful places in the world?
Um,
Because
it
not a
really
lot
is.
of us have been to New Zealand. Oh man, look at that. That's crazy.
So, I really think that camper vanning around New Zealand is the best way to explore the country. It makes you, I mean, for me, it makes me feel like I'm actually out in nature. I'm not, it's a different kind of traveling. It's a different kind of experience. It's more of an adventure for me because you take everything with you. You can just park anywhere. Um, and then not literally park anywhere, but you could stop here and there, and you don't have to worry about going back to where you're staying and stuff like that. You can just carry on with your trip from one place to the other. You actually bring your entire stuff with you. Um, it's just a whole new different experience. That's all.
Yeah. So, and I
I
think
just can't find the right words to describe it. I'm lost of words like how to properly describe it. I can't really unless you experience it yourself.
right. No,
So what I
just to
probably say is come over to New Zealand and experience it yourself.
oh man, I'm definitely going there after COVID. But no, just by looking at the picture, I can imagine the adventure and the joy of doing this. We've seen movies of people who does this. A lot of movies have been featuring this kind of thing. And just by looking at your picture right now, you have this snow-capped mountain, like sparsely populated place.
Yeah.
You have the place pretty much all to yourself, and you have this beautiful camper van. Man, that's one of the most amazing adventures you can do in your life.
Yeah. It's a really good experience to have. I really suggest to everyone like um to my friends or even workmates or family and friends that are wanting to travel in New Zealand. I always tell them if you can, if you've got the means, travel with a camper van. They're not particularly cheap. I mean now they are because of post COVID kind of what like sale and stuff like that. They've got lots of promos at the moment. But they're not particularly cheap. But if you've got the means to do it, I mean do it. And if you really want to experience this, then you save up for it. But it's something that you can it's a great experience that you can actually treasure for the rest of your life, pretty much.
Amazing, amazing.
And this place where I took this photo, this is Mount Cook National Park. They call it Aoraki Mount Cook National Park. Um, it's my favorite national park in New Zealand. I mean, there are other national parks in New Zealand that's really good, but this is probably the best national park for me. I mean, for me it is. And I'm going back there again in a few weeks.
Oh wow.
Yes.
Post more pictures.
Yeah, yeah. It's I'm going there for my birthday trip. So yes.
Wow, time flies so fast. We only have 10 more minutes to go.
Yeah.
It's so fast when you're
Actually, I could
talking
quickly
about your passion.
yeah, I could quickly go through some of the photos I put up in here.
Yeah,
Um,
sure.
so lupins, I think a lot of people have seen this in different photos. A lot of people probably have better photos than this, but lupins are actually classified as grass here in New
Oh,
Zealand. They they just grow everywhere. Um, a lot of people don't want them. They're kind of weed for others. I'm not really sure, but they're trying to get rid of it. But they're really beautiful once they bloom. They're really pretty. Um, this photo is this is our Tasman Lake. So you've got some chunks of ice that breaks off from the main Tasman glacier, and they just float through the lake and onto the river. Um, these are Kia birds. I just put this one up in here because
oh, really?
these are really amazing birds. They are the only alpine parrots in the world. You can only
Mm-hmm.
find them here in New Zealand. They're very curious birds, so they won't fly away if you're around. They will probably try to come to you and try to check out your camera, check out your shoes, check out everything.
Oh, it's
Um,
crazy.
they're also known to breaking people's cars or tourist cars because
Oh man.
they fly on top of the car and they try to play with those rubbers around the car. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
they're very curious birds. They're not scared and they're very pretty birds as well. And this hike, I was so lucky because that's the end point of this hike. There's a bench and then there were like eight of them waiting for me, waiting for us there. I did this trek with my flatmate, Steph. You probably know her.
Who?
Steph Gamala.
Oh yeah, 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 sure.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. So she's my flatmate, and she tags along in most of my trips now.
yeah, I can see. You even kind of like influenced her to go to the gym. I saw those stories
Yeah.
on Instagram. I mean, that's a beautiful sunset.
Oh yeah. Oh, there's some other. So probably this one. The one
Oh,
that's Hobbiton. It's very
yeah,
popular.
very
I mean,
famous.
it's a very touristy kind of destination. But I think it's worth it, especially for those who've actually followed through the movies, Lord of the Rings and The
The
Hobbits.
Hobbit. Yeah.
Yeah. So if you've seen these movies, three movies, Lord of the Rings, and then The Hobbits, um, three movies as well, you'd love to see this place. And it's fun because the first time I went in there, I've been there like many times already. I had friends come over, family. I took them here. This place is
Hmm.
not far from where I am at the moment. It's probably about 2 hours away.
Oh man,
So it's an easy
that's
drive.
near.
Easy drive. I
Yeah.
could go there for a day trip. So I bring families down there easily. So um, it was fun. The first time I was there, there's a tour guide, and then they ask questions about, do you remember what happened to this place? And I was so eager to answer them because I remember what happened in the movies and stuff like that.
Mm,
Um,
yeah.
so
For Lord of the
it's
Rings
really fun.
fans.
Yeah, and that's the popular green door. That's the Baggins house. That's the
Mm-hmm.
Baggins
Yeah.
Hobbit hole.
That's crazy.
Yeah. I do a lot of sunrises as well. At some stage, I just did crazy sunrises. This is one of the best hikes. New Zealand's considered to what was considered to be New Zealand's best day hikes. This
Mm-hmm.
is the Tongariro crossing. It's a 19 point something case crossing from one end to the other end, and then in that hike, the highlight is seeing the Emerald Lakes.
Right.
So
Oh man.
the Emerald Lakes, they're really beautiful. But you have to actually be there to appreciate them.
When you posted a picture of the sunrise with the clouds, I remember one of the famous destinations in the Philippines in Sagada, mountain province, is
Oh,
Kiltipan.
yes. Yep, yep.
Kiltipan, which is like because of the movie. What was the title of the movie? I forgot the name of the movie. It's kind of like a love story, romantic comedy, and people go there for hugot, like after a breakup or something, or they're broken heart. They
That's
go
how the place got popular.
and
Where,
they
where do
shout.
broken hearts go?
Oh, that's the movie that I'm talking about. It's crazy. Like that's
Yep.
in Kiltipan, so that kind of reminded me of that place when I saw your picture. Before we proceed, I just so love this comment from Alison Gomez of Brazil. He said, because we're talking about being present in the moment, right? And Ellison said, the Secret Life of Walter Mitty, one of my favorite travel movies, by the way, talks about sometimes people should be in the place instead of just taking a photo. I remember this scene in the movie where this famous photographer,
Oh, you've seen this movie.
I've seen this movie and it's my favorite movie, and this famous photographer travels around the world to take photos for Life magazine, kind of like National Geographic magazine, for example. And one of his assignments was to take a picture of a snow leopard. Snow leopards are like the ghosts of the mountains, very hard to find. It's so elusive. So he stayed for a long duration of hours in that mountain waiting for the snow leopard. And so while he had his camera ready to take the picture of the snow leopard, waiting for the snow leopard. And finally, the snow leopard arrived. It's a very elusive moment. Usually you don't see it, but the snow leopard arrived. And while he was about to take a picture, instead of clicking the shutter, he just looked at the snow leopard with his bare eyes and didn't even click the shutter, didn't even look through the camera lens, didn't click the shutter, just look at it with his bare eyes. And then the and then and then the protagonist, Ben Stiller, I forgot his name in the movie, said, "Hey, why didn't you take the shot? That was your only chance. I mean, it's so hard to take pictures of these creatures. Why didn't you take the shot?" And his answer was something like, "Sometimes you gotta be in the moment because these lenses kind of like they they block our experience of the exact moment."
Wow.
Can you
Yeah.
imagine that how deep that
Yeah.
statement is?
Yeah.
So these distractions sometimes,
Yeah.
these gadgets sometimes are distractions to our experiences. So that's an example, especially nowadays when we travel, we have these gadgets with us, and
Yeah.
these distract us in experiencing or savoring the moment.
Exactly.
So very nice comment
That's very true.
from Ellison Gomez.
Yeah. Because oh, thanks for that, Ellison. Anyway, because the more I travel now and take photos, the less I take photos. Really, I like when I travel. I want to experience the place more than actually taking photos. A lot of my friends, when they travel with me, they want me, because they knew that I was a photographer. They want me to take a lot of photos, which I honestly don't like, to be honest. I'd rather have one or two photos of the place, and that's it. I put my camera down and experience the place, chat with friends or talk to other people, and then enjoy the walk or enjoy the view. Um, so that's why sometimes, like when we went to China, it was a great experience for me. But I've taken very few photos. I'd rather experience the place than than occupy myself with taking photos of everything and trying to get that right, the perfect shot or whatever. So I think it's experiencing the place more is what's better than
That's a
taking photos.
very true.
I think that's a very good comment. Really, it blocks our experience. I like that.
And you have to watch the movie as well if you haven't. It's a very good movie.
Yeah, I'll look it. I'll look it up.
So it's almost time. Let's wrap this up. So can you just stop the share photos so we our viewers can see both of us, and we're gonna
Oh,
wrap this up.
I can't find. I lost my.
There's
Oh,
like a share and stop. It says stop share, red
yeah, but
button.
I lost my. Hang on. Oh, there.
Okay, there you go. So before we end this, you've been to a lot of destinations. So just a couple of questions before we wrap this up. What are the lessons learned in traveling? And sorry, before that, what are your famous, not famous, what are your favorite destinations? Maybe just pick one or two the most favorite destinations. And then the next question is, what are the lessons learned from your travels and future travel plans? So just to wrap this up.
Oh, cool. Um, I think for now, my favorite destination will always be New Zealand. There's just so much to see in this country, and there's still so much more. Even if I have experienced a lot of places in New Zealand, activities and stuff, I still have so much to experience about. There's so much other places that I wanted to see. Um, so yeah, New Zealand will always be up there. Lesson. I think the biggest lesson that I could share is with because I've done a lot of solo traveling as well. Solo traveling has given me so much confidence. It builds self-esteem in a way where I can't really explain how.
No,
And
true.
it builds confidence. And another thing is it gave me a different kind of skill set. The skill set of trying to communicate with other people. When I did a lot of solo traveling, I depend directions from locals as well. So you talk to them, and and you realize that locals are actually very happy to share what they know about their place. They're actually very happy to share, to tell you where to go and what to do. And that those small talks that you experience with other people is actually a different kind of skill set, because talking is a different way, but building courage and actually um getting that courage in you to approach people and talk to them and connect with strangers is actually a different kind of skill set. So that's one thing that I think have benefited me in a lot of way. um and also health wise, um mental health and physical health, because I tend to make myself healthy for hikes, and I tend to maintain my
Body
my fit.
fat percentage.
I don't know. I don't even check on that. But anyway, I try to be fit,
Aim for
so that
10% body
I
fat.
won't struggle when I want to experience hikes and stuff like that around. So there's a lot of benefits for me in terms of traveling. And upcoming trips, I've planned for a birthday trip in a couple of weeks, because I'm July 24th, so that's when my birthday is. I remember spending one of my birthdays in Thailand during
Thailand.
our. Yeah, yeah.
Cambodia.
So
That was
it
particularly
was a
In Cambodia.
a
Cambodia.
very memorable one.
Oh, no, no, no. That was in Thailand before we went to Cambodia. I remember.
Just
We were in the.
before we, yeah, because
Yeah, yeah.
we did we spent the night worshiping, and then after
In
that
a
we
guest
got
house. Yeah.
surprised with the cake. That was really good. Oh,
And you,
thanks for
and you
anyway.
sang a
Yeah,
Sally D. Ford song for
yeah.
worship.
Yeah, and then so I'm planning to go down south again. I had a lot of trips planned this year. I think I'm going to cancel. We had a Bali trip, but I don't think
Oh
that's.
man, I don't think it's gonna happen this
Yeah, I
year.
don't think it's
In
gonna
this year.
happen. Yeah, but anyway, so I've canceled that one, and I'm going. I'm going to spend my birthday down south, because winter is really is really beautiful now.
Oh,
Like it's snow everywhere. Like almost all places, towns in the South Island is covered with snow, and it's something that I really wanted to experience. There's always something about winter and snow that makes me feel so happy. It just for me is so magical.
really?
It's so weird for it's very ironic for a tropical creature like me to actually
No,
love winter and love snow.
I don't like winter.
So weird.
I remember my first time in China. I really love winter just because we don't have winter in the Philippines. So I was so excited and snow and everything. But my second year onwards, I was like, oh man, I just don't like winter. So cold.
Yeah.
Anyway, before we end, by the way, guys, thank you so much for watching. Thank you for tuning in on
Thanks for
Travel
joining us.
Conversations. Yeah, so before we end, I just want to say that this would be the last episode for this first season of Travel Conversations, and we're going to resume after a month, probably in August. So thank you so much. You're the last guest for this last
Oh,
episode.
I made the cut just in time for the last episode.
Yeah. Before we end, what are your top tips for our reviewers who, in general, travel tips, those who want to travel or something? And if you have any announcements or greetings to
Yeah.
your friend, just to wrap this up.
Um, for people who wanted to travel, make a conscious decision to actually plan to go. Otherwise, it's not going to happen. Don't keep that idea in your mind that these destinations will always be there and you will always have time to go there in the future, like later on. Life has given us, life has been telling us that that is not always the case. Imagine what happened to COVID. A lot of our traveling is not going to be the same from now on. So every little opportunity that you can travel, grab that opportunity. And I can't always tell you what sort of experience you'll have. That experience is very personal. It's very subjective. You go and make your own experience. I have no announcements, but anyway, thank you for making me a part of this series. I'm really glad to be able to talk about my trips and my passion about traveling and seeing beautiful destinations. I hope I have inspired some others out there to actually travel. And if you get a chance, come to New Zealand. I'll be quite happy to tour you around.
Guys, you heard that. His sofa is huge. And by the way, Sheila said, maintain your abs.
It's not skinny boy abs. It's not an actual abs. It's a skinny boy abs.
Maintain your
Okay,
10%
talk to you
body
sometime.
fat.
Yeah,
By the way, Dodge, thank you so much for your time. Thank you for sharing your experiences. I'm sure you've inspired a lot of people. And me, myself, I was able to learn a lot from you, especially in terms of traveling in New Zealand. So thank you for your time.
that's okay. Well, thank you.
And guys, see you after a month. Thank you. I was about to ask you to sing. I remember this is not choir talk, this is travel conversations. All right, see you in a month.
See ya. Bye bye. Thank you.
Bye.